Well, hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Tulā Community Podcast. Look at us go here. In this episode, I chat with my friend Tatiana. I met Tatiana at a yoga studio a few years ago that I was working the front desk at, and she would come in for classes, and we got connected a little bit there. Not too much, but a little bit, and then through Instagram. Got further connected, and now I've discovered that she is magnificent. She's very spunky. She's got a great vocabulary. She's very funny, and we have lived pretty similar lives, been through pretty similar things we're discovering between the two of us, and I wanted to talk to her about the yoga space because she is very dedicated to her practice, which I think is just so incredible. And it's been really nice to watch her blossom and have this devotion to practice and her asana and ashtanga roots. So there's that. And before the podcast and during the podcast, we just talked about the yoga space, especially obviously in the West, and how we feel about it. And didn't really feel like we had to hold anything back because, of course, I'm just talking to my friend here. So it is a pretty raw interview or a conversation between the two of us on how we feel and what we find to be difficult or frustrating, and not necessarily just all the good stuff all the time, though there is a lot of that stuff in the episode. So looking forward to sharing that with you, and I hope that you laugh along with us. We share a good amount of laughs, including my Led Zeppelin poster falling down partway through the interview. So that's that. And I also want to take the time in this episode to share my good friend Giulia and Scott. They have a media and design company named Elevate. And so I want to hold space for that because they have helped me a lot. I've known them for over 10 years now, both of them. And they are responsible for really assisting me in a lot of Tulā design, creating the logo into a digital format after my friend Morgan had drawn it. And so I want to share about their business and company, and I've referred a few people to them, and they've created wonderful logos and branding for my friends. So I think that they deserve the space held for them. So I'm just going to share with you what they wrote for me here, and then we'll get into the episode. Elevate Media and Design is a full-scale and content creation agency that offers graphic design, branding, photography, and videography services worldwide. Based on the Sunshine Coast, founders Giulia and Scott have implemented a remote system to help clients create all their visual branded content in a 100% virtual platform. Whether you're a B2B or B2C, Elevate can leverage your content and convert visual assets into content that sells. If there's one thing they know, it's how daunting it can be to find creatives who have true knowledge and understanding of the industry. Elevate Media and Design works to connect the dots between brand values, design, and audience to produce quality content that represents your brand at its best. Whether you're looking for branded photography and videography, a full-scale brand identity launch, or helping create ads and social media content, the Elevate team are here to guide you and help create content that converts. If you're looking to take things to the next level, please visit elevatemedia.ca and create with Elevate. Thank you so much, my friends, for being here, and I hope you enjoy the episode. I think we should begin. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your practice, kind of like what type of practice you're into, education.
Yeah, so education-wise, I am a yoga teacher. I've got 200 whole hours of training behind me at this point in time, with several more hours in one related, one unrelated field, that being the field of aerial yoga,
right,
and then the field of fitness, and so on and so forth. But how I came to the practice, basically.
Yeah.
My God, that was like an entire journey. I've been trying to like get it into a succinct little like neat story.
Yeah.
But it's a freaking mess, man.
Right. Yeah, because that's why I had said to you one time too, I was like, I feel like you were always practicing. I saw you pretty much every day come into practice. But then there was like a switch for you, and I feel like, you know, and then you said to me, you're like, yeah, there was just like a day where I was like, I'm dedicated to this, but I need to be even more fucking dedicated.
Yeah,
to this.
no, something had happened where I was
clicked.
like, you know what? I think I realized that I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life.
Right.
And I'm legitimately going to stick to that.
Yeah.
Because yoga has been like the only thing that makes this much sense in my life. Like, ever.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that I've ever wanted to like devote myself to so deep. I'm like about to cry out here, bro. But like,
yeah, right. No, I understand.
Like, it is the thing. Like, it's forced me to live.
Yes.
It's forced me to slow down. It's forced me to, like, I'm alive because of the practice.
Yes. Right.
It's,
right.
You know, pulled me back from the brink many a time.
Right.
Just when I thought there was nobody else, she was there.
Yeah, exactly. The yoga is always there.
The yoga
is
always there.
And that's a conversation I've, like, seen before as well, that, like, no matter what, at the end of the day, when you're like going through some shit and like stuff is happening or whatever, like you can come back to the yoga and like, yes, the yoga will always be there. And I think that also the like yoga community, who you connect with in the yoga community, usually obviously very nice, lovely people who can be very supportive as well of like helping you in those states, you know?
And you know that the whole idea of yoga is that there is no judgment within your physical movement. So it, to me, has always translated as there's little to no judgment on you as an emotional being.
Right.
I am allowed to have emotions. I am allowed to express them within Sangha, within community, within, you know, this space.
Right.
And I'm allowed to just, like, be with it.
Yeah.
Where... maybe otherwise it felt like too much, or it felt like yeah.
Well, you know, like I find in different disciplines that it changes things, of course, because if you're in like Pilates only like discipline of movement, whatever, you are obviously lacking any sort of like depth, understanding, and things that could aid you in like supporting you in those other states of yourself. Like if you're just like someone who's like a power lifter and like you're having a lot of emotions, you don't have like a community to fall really back on necessarily who's like working through themselves like that, and you don't have like a code of ethics that can like bring you back to yourself. That's like I find very like multifaceted in yoga, that there's so much to it that you don't need to just isolate yourself in physical healing. You can do a lot of healing.
Oh my God, yeah. It's within the healing of your maybe not even physical or physical wounds that really you find yoga, I kind of feel.
Right.
It's when you're forced to look past the asana, you're forced to look past the cool thing that you were so close to getting before you got shot down sort of deal by life a little bit, and now you're rendered sitting there. Yeah. And that's yoga.
Yeah. Right.
And, you know, as somebody who practices yoga, as opposed to, just the physical, I am able to still say to myself, I am practicing while I am healing my body, as opposed to being, you know, at home and anxiously waiting to get back onto, like, the workout machine. I
want to get on my Tony Gazelle. Can't wait to get home.
Weight to my stationary bike. Can't wait to pedal to nowhere for 2 hours.
Right.
You beautiful eye.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So get home to the workout machine, yes.
That's right, yeah. So, it's, you know, I've never gotten that kind of connection from any other movement. And to be fair, I've never been a very physically inclined kid. I've always been stupid strong. Yeah, that much I know.
That's cool. Yeah, that helps.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
I was strong, but I was not fast.
Okay.
So running, couldn't fucking do it. Please.
No one chase me.
To this day, somebody's just like, oh my God, do you want to go for a casual run? I'm like, sweetie, oh, that's really sweet.
I know I may look like I can.
And that's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, you look like you run. I'm like, it's because because I work so hard to avoid running.
Yeah, no shit. You know, I actually don't know who said it, but I remember I was in I was in a Brian Lear class at one point, and he was saying that you know, you're like, maybe there was a teacher that was like talking about running, and it was like, just stay in shape so that the only time that you should run is like away from something that's chasing you. You know, so it's like, do the yoga, stay in shape. Don't go running. That's not the practice. That's not what you need to be doing. It's not the exercise for you or just in general. But stay in shape enough so that if something's chasing you, you can run.
That's exactly it. You know what? I will live by this now. Because it's vibes. Yeah.
That actually fits you very nicely.
It's how I feel. So never fast, always stupid strong.
Right.
And I had no idea what to do with that. So what I did with it was go into opera and musical theater.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, right.
I mean, cool. It was a lot of fun, and I actually absolutely love musical theater to this day.
Right, yes.
Don't, participate in anything, unfortunately.
Yes,
But
right. Just
anyway,
your own little ballads.
Just my own little... in the car, the shower.
Feel a little sad
You
today.
may find me on the streets. Singing tunes.
Busking underneath street lamps.
Singing Les Miserables.
Yeah.
I dreamed a dream until that was really good. Yeah,
Right.
free sample of my singing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Just did, Right, anyways, okay, so it's opera, stupid strong, not fast.
Not fast.
No words, not mine.
No, not at all. So,
Yeah.
I had tried gymnastics when I was, 3 or something,
Right.
and I lasted a whole, I'm gonna say, it feels like maybe 3 months. Because then at one point in time, my mom saw that the way that we were getting stretched, and the teacher would literally sit you in a straddle, sit behind you, grab your ankles, and yank back.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, and she saw me, tiny little me, doing angry face, and just a single tear roll down my cheek. And I remember that day because I was
warrior.
I was like, fuck no, fuck that, I'm not crying in front of this woman. Oh my god. And after that, my mom was like, we're not coming back!
I like how cut from a different cloth you were at such a young age. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna succumb to the pressure.
I was mad. I'm in so much pain. Fuck you! You're not getting my tears too!
No. You're not getting the satisfaction.
No!
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Yes.
And then I did swimming for a split second.
Right. Well, you can cry as much as you want there.
Exactly, nobody can tell! And I did almost cry when actually I had trained enough in it for my coach to take me to the big pools, and he was like, okay, we want to start training you for the Olympics. And I was like,
oh, that's fucking cool. Right.
It was super cool.
Right.
And then my mom took me out of the swimming pool that
Right.
day. We started walking home. She stopped me for a second and she said, Tanya, we're moving to Canada in 2 weeks.
What the fuck?
And I was like,
excuse me? Right. Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we had to move to Canada very quickly. It's they knew they had been working on it for a long time,
told
but
you kind of, the
right. Kids, because they weren't, back then it wasn't, the greatest thing to be like, oh, we're going to, basically what's known to most people right now is still the States.
Right,
And it was still, a thing, I guess, back then, so they were like, just, keep it quiet, let's go.
Yeah, well, how did that come up? Why did they need why did they want to move? And, what was that about?
You know what? It was just a better situation in Canada at that point in time. We were just coming up on, the end of the 90s in Russia, and that was a super fuck time.
Right.
I mean, when isn't it a fuck time in Russia?
I actually don't know. I don't know.
Straight up. There's it's been a while. It's been a sec.
Yeah.
Let's get it together.
Wish I could say it's been a slice.
It's not been a slice.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It's enough pie.
I didn't even want pie.
I didn't want any. Yeah, straight up.
Okay.
Anyway,
so the swimming.
So from that tangent to moving to Canada, and it was really in Canada where a lot of my extracurriculars kind of slowed down because of the language barrier and because of the language barrier for my parents. So it wasn't as simple for my mom to just go out and be like, oh, okay, here's an activity, go.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, and so I kind of slowed down. I had no idea where to put all this energy, and I obviously hit books a lot. Like, I was living in books, and I was living at the library.
Obviously. Like, right.
Just like, entertaining myself at that point in time. I hadn't learned how to properly learn yet, because ADHD wasn't a thing back then either, so they were just like, just calm down. It's fine. Just stop.
Take this pill.
There was no pill! I wish!
Shit, no way.
Yeah,
right,
no,
right,
exactly.
right.
ADHD didn't exist in the motherland back then. They were like, you're healthy, you're just lazy.
But with lots of energy.
Many energy, but so lazy. Why?
What is this?
And I'm like, you tell me! I'm little! I don't know!
It's probably because that woman stretched my legs.
Yes, it's from the leg breaking.
Anyways, yes, so then you're trying to entertain yourself with the books.
So yes, and then at one point in time, I guess I noticed a book with really cool shapes in it, and it was like India, and it was right around the time where I had a sari bestowed upon me by my dad's friend, who was Indian. They had just been to India. They came back and they brought me back a sari.
Some gifts. Yeah, right.
It was the coolest thing in my life, and I was like, oh my god, India is the bomb. Let's go.
Love it.
So I was looking at books about India, and of course, like, the second one that I picked up, it was just like, yoga, and I was like, who's that?
Right.
And then I saw people making cool shapes, and I was like, I like that.
Yeah,
like, I've always enjoyed watching dance, for example, and due to my being strong but not very fast, choreography was simply not a thing that my brain could or can catch on to this day.
Yes.
So I'd be like, you're watching all these people see a move for the first time, like, kickball, change, jazz hands, and I'm like,
I want to, but I can't.
My brain hasn't even caught up, much less my body.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, yes.
Well, that's where the poses come into such a beautiful way, because you're able to, like, make the, there's physical movement, there's, like, shapes, there's expression, but you don't have to, you don't have to, like, fire out anything.
Exactly.
You can, but, like, you don't need to,
And so I saw the shapes, but I didn't get how people worked into and through them, right? So how it began was me just putting on music and basically spazzing around in what one could call a dance.
Right, okay.
And then hitting these poses, like, the best that I could from just, like, looking at this book sort of deal. And then I was like, hey, cool.
Right.
And then I kept on looking at more poses. And then I turned 16, and I was able to go to the YMCA and take my first yoga class.
Very cool.
And it was a 6 a.m. class, and I felt very like, what the hell? Kids aren't supposed to be up this early.
Right.
I'm a growing lad. I need sleep. I'm a little boy.
Right. So you went.
So I went. And I was like, holy fuck, this is it.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. There's something about it.
I had never felt that way before in my entire life. I was like, I moved through that class, and I didn't not get a single thing. Like, not in the fact that, like, I hit every pose perfectly. No.
Right.
I didn't not understand anything. Everything was given to me in such a way where it was like, I would have to be not here to not follow these directions.
Right.
I would have to be an amoeba.
Right.
And it was just presented to me on a silver platter. The way that physical movement had never been presented to me before. And it felt so right. It felt so just like normal. It was finally a movement that my body could do without suffering.
Yes.
Without being out of breath and tasting pennies.
Yeah, exactly.
Without being under so much pressure to perform that all you're thinking about is like, oh, how is coach, mom, dad, random lady who's also watching and a peer is going to feel about the thing that I just performed.
Right.
/ as you're practicing, oh, well, how am I going to be able to do this during my recital? No.
Yes, right. It's
I
not
was
like
just
that.
there to move my body, dude.
Yes, right.
And,
yeah,
oh my god.
I know. I know. It's a really beautiful thing.
It was just the tastiest.
Yeah, it is. It is the tastiest, And there is no actual performance.
No.
And there is no competition. There's no other person. There's no I never even really thought about that. There's no mom or other person coming and going to look at you through the window and walking away and being so aware of how you're placing yourself. You can be, but it's for you.
It's
that
for
you're
you.
aware,
And It's incredible. Yeah,
Right.
like the depths that you can take yourself
Yes.
to.
Yes. Right.
And, you know, as I was learning all of this sort of deal, I was very lucky in my journey because
Right.
after the YMCA classes, I was pretty much immediately able to get into a
Right.
studio yoga passage downtown Calgary,
Yeah.
where I met my first teacher, Tamara Terry.
Okay.
And, Tamara had, like, and continues to have the profoundest, just, like, influence on me as a practitioner, as a teacher, as in everything. Why am I about to cry again?
I know. You know, honestly, I
I'm
understand.
so
I
emotional.
seriously understand. I get really emotional about yoga.
Yeah.
I like cry in classes all the time.
Dude!
You know, like, I just am like, I literally feel so like, I'm just so, I like connect and love it so much that when I'm in classes, like, it doesn't even matter the style of practice, you know, I just
Yep.
end up like crying because I just fucking love yoga so much.
Yeah, there
you
are
know?
times when I lay them down sweetly into Shavasana and I just weep
I know.
silently at
I
the front
know.
of class because
Yes.
what a blessing.
It
what
is.
joy.
It's such an honor. You know? Like, yeah, I know. It's like
Yes.
such a huge privilege.
It is.
To be able to like teach, connect, guide, like, you know, be trusted to lead. Because that's the other thing too. Like, you know, when we were speaking before about like not trusting people with our spirituality and stuff like that. And the fact that people say to, probably of course you, but like I hear it, you know, they say it to me, they're like, I've really felt, trusting of you to guide my body, actually, you know, I felt like safe in your presence, I really liked your teaching, I blah 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 blah, you know, I connected with what you said, they return, like, you know, and you're like, okay, like that's an honor, that's a privilege, because I've definitely been to classes where I don't want to fucking return, or I don't trust them.
Yeah.
I don't trust them with my body, I don't trust them with the other students, really, you know, and like, they're not maybe correcting people, so I can see that this individual is going to hurt themselves, and so I don't really like trust that you're that this person is like holding it with reverence and like appreciation and like their responsibility
Exactly.
in the leading of the room. You know? Right.
To me, it's kind of like the difference between somebody who does it for the gram sort of deal,
Yeah.
for the followers, and then
Yes.
somebody who does it because there is nothing else that they love more in this universe.
Yes. Right.
And sure, yeah, like, I don't know, Instagram, for example, it's an important beast at this
Yes,
point
it
in
is.
time.
Yeah,
It gives us a lot of opportunity, of
Right.
course, and it's important to keep on, you know, doing your performative yoga every once in a while.
Right.
And like, don't get me wrong, I love me some performative yoga
100%.
as much as the next guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shit, like, I'm
Right.
proud of my progress. I'm
100%.
proud of the
Yes.
amount of work I've put in.
Yes.
I'm interested in,
Right.
you know, being able to go back a year from now, maybe when I'm busted up again or something.
yeah.
Be like, oh,
Right.
maybe I used to be able to do that,
Yeah, but now my hip.
Yeah, my hip.
Right, you know? But I agree. I actually think there was a lot of times where I didn't really like Instagram, like before I started Tulā and stuff, and I was like, how the fuck am I going to start a business if I don't even want to be on Instagram? Because I didn't want to be obsessed with my phone. But now I'm like obsessed with it. But I feel like in a different way where I feel like Instagram is free. It's a platform to connect. It brings us together. It's probably like we kind of knew each other, but it's how you and I even connected. It's how people find you and whatever. And also like, when it comes to performative yoga and like your poses and like you know, being able to do all these beautiful, wonderful things, like I think it was I forget which teacher it was that was saying this to me, but like, or maybe I read it, but it's like, it's not about, obviously, as we know, the destination or the end goal, but what is impressive about it is the fucking dedication and the amount of times you've fallen. Like, it's taken you months to get that shape. And then you finally have it. And, like, everybody just sees that end, of course.
That's,
you know?
yeah.
But to me, I'm, like, always really impressed with people because, of course, I've sat here and tried to stand on my head a lot, you know? And, like, I've fallen a million times. I don't mind, you know? But if I got it or when I get it or whatever, I won't necessarily be proud of getting it. It's more just the fact that, like, I know I see your shapes and I'm, like, fucking, she has definitely fallen a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and like you have to be able to, like, willing to fall and like hurt yourself.
Yeah.
To like get that.
You gotta be willing to fail. You have to be willing to look stupid.
Yeah, well that's the other thing too. After my yoga teacher training and like understanding yoga obviously with a little bit more depth, I didn't really always give too much of a shit, but I stopped really giving a fuck in public classes if I fell or if I whatever, because I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying.
Exactly.
You
I'm
know?
not here to be perfect. I'm not here. I'm here to practice, dude. Like if you're so concerned
The
about
external and stuff.
exactly
Yeah,
about
right.
how the person practicing next to you looks. I fear that you may be in the wrong place, friend.
That's it. Right.
Like, well, I was going to say, like,
Oh, yeah,
for some
sure.
reason way earlier that
Yeah.
when I first started yoga, like, I can't remember the face of a single practitioner around me because the space that I ended up in
Yeah.
was the type where you went so deep in
Yes.
for your class
Right.
that, that's all you were there for.
Yes.
You weren't really...
Right. Yeah. You couldn't even focus on what was going on around you.
Yeah,
or,
you
like,
were...
any
I'm
external.
busy!
See, but I feel like obviously, like, then you found yourself, which is great. You found yourself in very good spaces. You know?
I did.
Because that's not always the case. Not everybody finds themselves, like, in a great yoga space initially or even ever.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't really understand or know, like, the roots. Like, the amount of times I get into conversations and people are like, so, like, could you just tell me some stretches? And I'm like, it's fine. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm like, shit. Like,
Yeah.
I feel so dedicated to rewrite that, you know, and, like, have it be, like, not as much of a, like, first thought for people. That
Yeah.
It's just, like,
It's
physical.
just stretching. Like, honey, please.
Right.
Please.
Right.
For example, let's
Yeah.
take Ashtanga.
Yes.
That's,
Yes.
I would say, my kind of
That
main
is your
practice, my
yeah.
niche.
Yeah, I know. I think
love...
about you every time I see Ashtanga, or
You-
like whenever Ashtanga comes up or whatever, I'm like, Tatiana. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so I was actually lucky enough to find the practice quite early on as well. Tamara was teaching the early morning classes back in Calgary. Back in the day, years and years ago.
Back to the other motherland.
That's right, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Motherland number 2.
Yeah,
Let's go. But yeah, so she was teaching early morning classes, and then in the evenings they would have like Ashtanga flow classes,
Okay.
and then they would have actual like led Ashtanga classes.
Yeah.
And so back then Ashtanga was just a cool word, and it was a fast spastic
Yes,
practice that I
yes.
could actually do.
Yeah.
And
right.
it was a practice in which I noticed myself improving like every single week.
Right.
And it was a practice in which I felt myself growing stronger every single week.
Yes.
And then with the classes with Tamara, she was like breaking down these really cool poses, going through really cool techniques and stuff. I got my first arm balances with her, and I was like, oh damn.
Aww.
And it was when I stood on my hands in any way, shape, or form for the first time, I was like, I'm never leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Right.
I knew at that point in time, because, you know, like, the people guiding the Ashtanga classes were like, oh yeah, later on you're gonna do some crazy shit, and I'm like, give me the crazy shit, let's go.
Put an IV.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Right.
baby girl.
Yeah, right.
That's when your girl got hooked. And I was like, no, I love it. And it was the strictness and the rigidity of it.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be
No.
so rigid.
Right.
Not every practitioner is a giant spaz like me.
Right.
But
Yes.
I loved it. Something in my ADHD brain just absolutely
yeah.
clicked with Ashtanga.
I
And I
know.
was like, sweet Lord, yes. Like,
right. Well, because you're like finding stillness, you're finding breath, and like in those moments when you're like all fucking pretzeled up and shit, you can't think of
Finding
anything else.
either- oh my
You know, there's
God.
nothing else in that moment. It is just like holding the shape, staying
the
balanced.
quiet in your brain
Oh,
is
yeah.
unparalleled.
I know.
Because this bitch is always screaming.
So is
it's
mine.
always on fire.
Yes,
It's
yes,
always running.
Right.
But then you get into that state
Yeah.
of just yoga.
Right.
And then, you know, hours later, you're like, holy shit, what happened? Like, where was I?
Yeah.
You were in yoga, baby.
Right. Yes.
But yes. So, and Ashtanga kept on going.
Right.
It was after I realized that I wanted more arm balance action and everything that I was like, yep, this is going to be my main practice. I can't be a yinny. I can't be a this, that, the other. I can. And I was happy doing all the practices,
Yeah.
but it was always Ashtanga that I came back to. And then actually at Yoga Passage, Ryan Lair taught a handstand workshop.
Very cool.
Yeah, that
Love
I
it.
went to, and I was absolutely just fascinated. The way that he taught.
Yes.
Like, I was excited about handstands and shit, but I didn't expect to be as, like, touched by someone teaching as I was with him.
Right.
And it was a really, like, profound experience for me. He had been having some family issues at the time, and, you know, like, he shared what was going on with us, because he just, like, you know, he had an emotional moment at the front of the class, and a bunch of strangers just, like, came together and held this man.
Right.
And it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel embarrassed to experience emotion publicly.
Yeah.
Because an entire ass other human, a human who has guided us so strongly for the past weekend, who has taught us the most crazy shit that we could do with our bodies, is trusting me, a mere stranger, to weep before me and to share something that's very deep, that's very personal. And my entire life I had been told to hide it, to put it away. It's nobody else's but your own. Nobody else wants to see that shit. Don't do that. Don't do that to people.
Right.
And all of a sudden it was okay. Not to do it to people, but to be with people as you're handling it, as you're feeling it. To allow yourself to still be worthy of community as you suffer.
Yes. That's a great way to put it. Right. Exactly.
And sure, I learned that handstands are possible. I did not learn handstand. Like, I mean, I learned technique and everything. It was actually what took me through, I went to work in Russia a short time after that workshop. It was actually what took me through a lot of Russia was like drilling what Ryan had taught me in that weekend. And just, remembering that sensation of being able to be human.
Right.
And that's I want that. I want to be human.
Absolutely.
I want to keep being human. I never want to be anything but.
Right. Yeah, and it is a really, honestly, such a beautiful thing. And I feel like yoga as a whole and in its community allows you to, like, be as is. It's okay. Everything's great. Yes, there will be people to support you. Yes, we will embrace. We will hug. We will, like, hold you during these moments and whatever. And, like, that it's acceptable to have them, you know. And I remember, what was it? It was like, I think during my teacher training, it might have been Peter that said, like, it was, because he would talk about how his parents passed away like 6 months away from one another, and then it of course was like super difficult, and that he would, and I think he also, I don't remember if it is the same, but he also like broke his neck or something in this like he just wasn't doing well. I'm pretty sure that that's kind of the story, like it was a lot at once or something. And he was saying to, like, teaching us and telling us this story to, like, still show up. Like, if you can't, then don't. But still show up as you are and just teach from that place. And just, like, fucking be honest about it and use it. And, like, likely, of course, if you're going through it, somebody else also is. And there's a truth and an authenticity and, like, a vulnerability. But also, like, just honoring humanness, and that we don't need to always be okay and, like, put up a front, which I feel you get in a lot of other movement disciplines. 100%. You know, like, if you're interested in being, like, a CrossFitter or something, let's say, there's maybe that, but it's not the same. No. You know, like, so as a teacher, there's been times where after I was, like, certified to teach, I, like, didn't want to show up first because I was, like, sad, you know, whatever. Yeah. And I, like, canceled the class. I was like, I'm not teaching it. Like, I feel really sad, or it's been a hard day. Yeah. And then little by little, I started adapting, like, no, I'm, like...
You should teach because you're feeling.
Yes. You know, and I was like, no, I'm going to teach from this place. I'm going to, like, bring that into this thing. And I'm not going to, like, I don't have to, like, dump and share everything.
No, you don't have to tell anybody what the fuck's going on.
Right, but you could say, you could even use your own fucking situation as a teaching, and boom, you know, and it, like, makes it so much more connected. And like he said, he was like, you know, I just taught from that place. I was like, honest. I was just like, this is what's going on in my life. Yeah. You know?
Like, when I first started teaching, a lot of it, I'm still not, like, 100% comfortable sharing the, like, philosophy of yoga and, like, making a big lesson out of it, because I still feel that I am baby, and I have many to learn. I don't trust myself to teach anyone anything philosophically inclined at this point in time. I trust myself to teach asana.
That. Yes.
And I think that is where my strength currently lies. And I think it's fair enough that I'm continuing my journey. Oh fuck! Where was this going?
I don't know that you don't feel overly trusting about teaching philosophy, and that you prefer to, like, teach. That's more your thing.
Yeah. So when you're speaking of, like, your own experience or whatever, it's when I first started teaching, it was almost as though there were classes when I would come in feeling a certain way, and then I would say things that would soothe me. Yeah. You know, if somebody were to say these things to me right now, I would feel nice.
Right.
If somebody were to tell me that today, really nice, because I'm feeling shitty because I'm holding all of these emotions somewhere, it's okay for me to take my practice a little bit more slowly.
Yes, right.
It's okay
right.
to not want to smile at
right.
people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's okay if today's forward fold is an inch forward or it's just
yes.
a dandasana.
Yeah, exactly, right.
And
right.
so it was these little words of comfort that I would want to hear, that I would give others, sort of deal. And at first I was just like, oh my god, that's embarrassing.
Never tell anybody my dirty little secret.
Like, they're gonna know and I'm just talking to myself.
right. You know, but it is a beautiful thing because a lot of people speak about, like, of course, talking to yourself the way you would talk to a friend in the situation. Like, can you hold more space? Can you be more compassionate? Can you, like, obviously practice ahimsa? Like, I come back to that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time, just like...
But then people come to you after class and they're just like, you know what, I was really feeling a certain way. And a lot of them maybe don't even realize that it was your stupid little story or your stupid little self-soothe talk.
Right. But they notice a difference.
But they notice a difference.
Yes, there is a difference because even nowadays, I'm sure you've been in them, and everybody is where they are. I really like people. They've got their own style. They got their own thing. But like, of course, I've been in yoga classes as of like the last year or whatever. That I just am like, this teacher is not actually connecting me or connecting with themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, the class just feels like either it's like kind of like choppy, or it's just kind of doing it for the sake of doing it. Yeah, shallow, or just kind of like just pose to pose to pose to pose, just kind of exercise feeling, And so when you bring that in, it makes a big difference. And most people might not even realize why, but they see that they notice it. Yeah.
And even in teaching fitness and things like that, I noticed that a lot of... I did not connect with fitness whatsoever for a very long time in my life. And like, to this day, if it's fast, it's not happening. Right. If my heart is pounding and I'm tasting pennies, I'm out. You don't want that,
We don't
want it!
Yeah, I can understand that.
So it was a little bit, like, difficult for me to start teaching fitness and be like, let's go! Boom, boom, boom! Just do the thing.
Yeah, because what were you teaching?
I was teaching the legs, arms, abs,
butt.
Class.
So like an intense, like, Pilates.
It's like a Pilates-inspired endurance training class.
Okay, right.
Yeah. It's a super fun time. It's a fun class.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
But it's a class that would intimidate me as a slow person, a physically slow human.
Right.
So I found that when I started teaching it, it felt inauthentic to just be like, push, push, push.
Yeah.
And so instead, I'd be like, don't push. Like, get down, do your push-up properly, give me one, but do it nice and do it in a way that doesn't hurt you. Do it in a way that feels joyful. Go, enjoy your body. I don't give a fuck if you don't do a single thing I say, as long as you come out of here joyful.
That's how I feel too. All the time, I'm like, actually, if you don't do what I say, that's very good. I'm like, I'm a good teacher if you don't do what I say. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so everything just started feeling a lot more authentic.
Of course.
When I was just like, listen to, like, the thing that I say a fucking 1,000 times throughout all of my classes is listen to your body and follow your heart, friend. Because they're going to tell you what to do. I can only get you so far from physically witnessing you.
Yes.
You are the person who knows whether you have a sneaky little herniated disc somewhere in there. So listen.
Right.
Please.
Well, and that's the thing too, because, a lot of the time too, you'll do like a waiver, or people will tell you their injuries or whatever, but like, I don't fucking, like, I know what that maybe means, obviously, as a teacher, but like, you're already holding space. You're not a medical professional.
No.
You don't technically have that full knowledge. Like, a lot of people come to us as teachers with like, I have this injury. I can help you like to understand maybe a stretch that could be supportive.
Yes.
But like,
or I can help you like understand whether you should go to your doctor tonight.
Yes.
Or it can wait till tomorrow.
Or like, okay, let's say your thing says herniated disc. I understand what that means. Do I need to know where it is on the spine? Maybe, but I also maybe don't know the spine full anatomy.
Yes.
But what I'm going to maybe understand is that maybe you don't need to do a back bend today.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe we don't twist.
Right. But like when you're holding space for so many people in a room, like it's already enough you're teaching, you're this, you're that. Now you got to remember this person got the herniated this person got the this. Like, fuck.
That's exactly it.
It's a lot to hold space for.
Well, like I was teaching during the teacher trainings and
Down goes Led Zeppelin. You know?
Oh,
It's okay, I'll put it back
Led
up
Zeppelin.
later.
I guess it was a little heavy. Oh.
Down goes the Zeppelin.
Damn.
Anyways, yes.
Humanity. Okay. What was
we're
that?
talking about holding space for people in rooms.
Oh, yes, right. So, while I was away in Costa Rica just this most recent time, I taught at 3 consecutive 200-hour yoga teacher trainings.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was a lot of humans, and it was a lot, like you were saying, in that room. My first training, I had a human who had never done yoga once in her life.
Wow.
Most incredible human ever.
Right.
All of them were the most incredible humans ever, of course.
Yes.
But, like, I was
people.
absolutely blown away by her, and she was just like, what am I doing here? This was such a dumb idea. I have no idea what I'm doing. The first week, and then the second week, she was like, okay. And third week, she was in. It was the most incredible. There was another person who, had heard of yoga, but had come there to train for chair yoga. This is not a chair yoga teacher training.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But girl, I made it one. We worked super hard, and we made this entire training work for a human like that.
Right.
But, when you're running a big-ass workshop on arm balance day, for example, unfortunately, among the 40 people, I'm going to have to teach to the 30, let's say 5.
Yeah.
May you be blessed.
Thank you so much. They rained down.
So the 35 humans who are able to at least, gain
these shapes or whatever.
Make some kind of shape or make some kind of sense of it. To whom it's maybe important also.
Right.
And then unfortunately there's those 5 humans that sometimes you simply there's just so much space being held for everybody else that as much as I want to take a separate beat for all of this, there's just not enough time.
It's not possible, and there's that too with injuries. I've just been in classes where there's been a lady who literally she genuinely couldn't do any. She said to me, she's like, I haven't sat on the floor for 10 years.
Oh,
it was very so I had to physically go beside her for the entire class and give her a completely different option. I was already teaching a pretty gentle stretch, easy peasy, easy peasy too, subjective, but really gentle. And I still had to give her completely other options, and so it's a lot on the mind is in your role of leading the room, you know. And this is why I feel like teachers in general, I feel like there's not enough space held for teachers, and I feel like there's not enough understanding and really kind of respect and understanding of what we're actually doing,
absolutely,
and what it takes to be one, and not only in educational ways, but what does it really mean? To arrive there, to get last minute cancellations, to rely on that for income, to be paid an unfair wage.
Yeah.
For your thing.
Or, have your wages held up.
Held
because
up,
it's just that's how it is, baby. And it's
right.
I also have to pay for my bills, and that's how it is, baby.
Right.
So.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like as teachers we're just so underappreciated, undervalued, and it's one of my personal beliefs, and I say this all the time, that I just feel as though if you have your hierarchy of needs as an individual, as a human or whatever, and if you were to take what it takes, of course, then to be a healthy, happy human, I still believe that movement, breath, connection with community, connection with others is still actually at the foundation of being a healthy, happy human.
Absolutely.
It doesn't even need to be at the top of the pyramid.
No.
It is still the foundational principles, and it's overlooked so much. And so I feel as a teacher or a practitioner or a guider of movement and self-awareness, we are at a foundational place of society and underappreciated so much.
Yeah. We are able to offer so much. We are humans who a lot of people treat as their psychologist.
Yeah.
A lot of people treat as their physical therapist.
Yep.
A lot of people treat as... I've gotten the sensation that some people come in and they're just well, you're my yoga teacher, so you kind of owe me your time.
Yeah.
And in certain situations, it's not that I owe you my time, it's just that I'm delighted to share it. But there's been, certain scenarios where you're just I have another class to teach, or I, for example, am very interested in having a sandwich right now, and I simply cannot stay for an extra half an hour.
And hold the space for that person.
And But a lot of people are genuinely under the impression that you taught your class and so you're free for the rest of the day, so why don't you help me get into this advanced asana that I've been trying to get?
Right.
And, like, you do it on your time off. It's
right.
Like, baby, I do my own advanced asana on my time off.
Yeah, and that's your place to do it. Like, go home and kind of experiment with it. And if you want my time, then, like, maybe, you should be investing and kind of paying me for it.
Yeah, like, it's totally all right to consider paying me for my time.
100%. Yeah. You know? And, like, sometimes I get students that I just don't, like sometimes I'm like, I feel like maybe they take advantage of you, or I just don't feel that connected to what they, like, want from me, or that, like, I just don't feel like I can maybe help them. Like, I had a student once that just, like, you know, I just helped and I did the sessions, they paid me, they paid me a little bit, whatever, you know, but, like, it never seemed to be making any sort of shift. Right. It never made any difference, it never really whatever, and I was just like, I don't really want to, like, even, like, I don't personally want to work with you, you know, and I had a hard time with that, because I'm like, this person wants my services, they're interested in my teaching, that's really, like, respectable, I feel, like, honored, whatever.
That's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, you know, and you don't want to turn down, like, someone trying to, like, give you money or whatever it is, you know, but I spoke to another one of, like, my teachers, and she told me, she was like, you don't need to, like, do anything you have to feel it, that you want to work with that individual as well, just as much as they want to, too. Like, it has to come with reciprocity, you know? Absolutely. And I was like, okay, so then I, like, started to understand that, because, sometimes you'll get those people after class, and you're like, oh, what am I doing?
Yeah, cool.
Well, that's the thing, you're like, I dedicate my personal time to this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so, like, what makes you think, like, you can go do that, too, you know, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
It's so funny how it is.
It is. It's one of those things. But yeah, I believe that our time and our just energy as yoga teachers is a little bit on the undervalued side of things. Again, we're able to offer so much.
Yeah,
and,
right.
We oftentimes, a lot of us, like, I know I'm in yoga because, first of all, I love it so much.
100%.
Second of all, it's an environment where I can never stop learning.
Right.
If there comes a time when I feel like I'm done learning within yoga, I've learned everything, then, you know what, I might as well quit teaching and doing everything else, because then I'm obviously full of shit.
No shit. Yes. Yeah, that's so true, actually. And that's something I really appreciate about, like, yoga in general, is just, like, to me, it feels, it's, you know, it feels, like, limitless, it feels endless, there really is no actual end, there's no, like, you know, you could still learn no matter what, like, there's no like, end goal of, like, having all of the knowledge, you know?
And like we were saying earlier, there's no limitation, really, even if you're physically busted up, you're able to still practice yoga.
That's it, you know, and that's what I remind my students of a lot, too, because I feel like, of course, we get this isolation, as we all do, about just asana. We get this asana isolation all the time. I gotta go practice, I gotta go to yoga, gotta get my workout, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And, like, a lot of my students will just say to me, like, I'm like, what's your practice like, you know, and, like, it's like, oh, I haven't practiced for a while, you know, I really should get back into it. And so I just am like, okay, yamas niyamas. You know, like, I just am like, I'm like, were you nice to someone today? You practiced yoga.
Good.
Like, just work with that. You know, and, like, I feel bad that, like, there's a lot of, like, beating yourself up if you don't, like,
do the physical.
Go to a yoga class. Or whatever, you know? I'm like, well, you could, like, do whatever you want, because a lot of times my practice really doesn't have a lot to do with asana all the time. I like it, I love it, it's how I found it, you know?
Totally.
But, like, I don't know, I'm, like, deeply reading into, like, I'm, like, reading the sutras, like, very intensely right now. I fucking love that shit, you know?
That's the thing, like, with, for example, you're reading the sutras, I'm about 99.99999% certain that you had to read that for your YTT.
Right.
But how many times have you read it after? How many iterations of it have you read after? And how many brand new aspects have you dug up out of that shit?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like, what comes to you from it as you move through your life, and, like, what you learn about yourself.
How does it fluctuate?
Well, that's it, you know, and I actually said that too, because I'm, like, of course, I'm teaching the sutra workshop right now, like, it's
amazing.
like a 4-week thing, you know, and it's my first time teaching them, which is, like, really great, because I have some understanding, I have some grasp, but I, of course, have, like, we started getting, like, more into them, like, by, like, 16, 17, I was like, fuck, I was like, I don't know, I said to them, I was like, I don't fucking know what this means, I was like, you do whatever you want with it, like, because, like, I could kind of explain some stuff, and then it, like, started getting, like, more fancy in the, like, wording, and I was like, oh, fuck. So I was like, let's just move to chapter 2, you know, so I gotta go, okay, this is fine, yeah, don't look,
leave it here,
you know, right, and so, like, I'm teaching this thing, and I said to them, this is my first time teaching, but I would also imagine that not only will I gain understanding and this will make me a better teacher in general, but if I taught this again to you in 10 years, it's going to be a lot different. Like, it's going to just come out differently. It's going to be expressed in a different way. I'm going to connect to that same sutra a different way completely.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
You know, it's actually kind of interesting. You saying that reminds me of watching one of my teachers, I guess, evolve. And that's my teacher in Costa Rica, Alejandra Torres.
Yes.
And,
beautiful.
yeah, she is the coolest human. Oh my god. Big fat fan. Don't tell her I said that.
if you're listening, like,
don't tell Alejandra I'm her biggest fucking fan. But, when I was training under her in Costa Rica for my YTT, holy fuck, bud! She was intense!
Yeah.
She was just like, you know, there was one point in time where, like, I made a face at one of my friends, and she, like, was speaking at the time, and she caught me, and she was just like, what the fuck is that?
Huh.
And I was like, I'm incapable of looking at people in the eye without making a stupid face! Sorry! And she was like, what the fuck? Okay. And so she was very, like, strict, very intense, very just like, hold it! Go, like, deeper! Higher! She's like, more! There wasn't the big group of people!
Oh my god, nearly shit, go back!
Yeah, way back! And I'm like, ah! We're like, vamos! Dele, 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 dele! I'm trying!
You're like, how much further?
I'm telling!
That's so fucking funny, dude.
But so, you know, I got my ass absolutely kicked. It's like a good job. I got fucked up after it. No.
You're like, I'm dehydrated. I'm one of those people now.
I was actually extremely shocked that I got through my YTT without a single emotional event, without a single...
That's interesting.
Like, only good emotional events. Oh my god, I had so many divine
I had some, like,
releases.
sad ones, obviously, but yeah.
No, I was fucking... I was where I was supposed to be. I was learning what I was supposed to be learning, and I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
In order to keep on doing what I am supposed to be doing.
Right.
And her strictness and her intensity just, like, really cemented it for me. And I was like, holy fuck, bud, like, yes, like, this is the type of practice where I can be my spastic self, but also deliver gentleness and also deliver cleverness and also deliver alignment and like her.
Right.
And then I went back to assist her trainings to teach with her.
Right.
And all of a sudden, she's this human. And it was, like, I don't know, literally like 2 trainings after mine that I went back. A different human. She's so gentle. She's so just like, okay, you know, like, if that doesn't work for you today, maybe don't. Or, like, you know, we'll find a variation. Like, don't push. Like, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And, like, there was one point in time where I came over, I was just like, Alejandra, what is happening? Why have you gotten so soft? She's, oh, you know, like, I've decided to relax a little. I'm like, where the fuck was that?
When I was young.
But you know what? Yeah, I like, the way that she approached my training worked out really well.
Right.
Because we were a group of spazzes.
Yeah.
Like,
right, so you needed
she could have told us to climb the wall and we would have tried to.
Yeah. Right.
We would have done our damnest.
Yes, right.
But then you have other groups of people who are
not
more,
like that.
No, they're not like that.
Right.
They're more the human who wants to learn about spirituality, and for them, the asana is kind of like the secondary, and they're just there to get through the asana, but really they're there for the philosophy.
100%, you know, and that reminds me of what I said to you before, too, about, like, you know, what was I gonna say? Like, what were we talking about? Damn it.
Students connecting differently.
Yeah, that sometimes I read the energy of my class, and I'm like, they need something different today. I can feel it, you know? Like, it's like that, you know?
Scrap your plan, and it's just like, ooh, they're gonna hate that.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm like, I don't think that they're gonna want to do that today.
This will not be appreciated.
But yes, some groups need that. Some groups need that discipline, and some people, you need to kind of go easy.
Exactly.
On them,
and so I saw that, like, absolute just, like, shift, and after having had experienced it, like, for myself and my classes and stuff, and I was like, this is a person doing it for, like, big ass groups of, like, trainings and stuff, and like, that's really cool. The fact that maybe, you know, she has chilled out as a human, you know, she's saying that she's chilled out, her children are teaching her how to sort of deal, but I also think it was the talent of a really dedicated teacher to be
Right.
able to read
To know
a training,
Yes.
training's worth of humans who just arrived from all over the world and be able to
Or, like,
pick up
seeking-
the vibes.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
And
right.
say that this group needs me
to
like this.
to hold this. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I could completely understand that, you know.
Yeah.
And like it also reminds me of how I feel as a teacher, because like for me, I'm very similar to you in that like I want like I don't actually maybe I'm not fully similar, but I'm like very anal about my poses, and like I want them to be like I want the lines just to be perfect, and like I feel like I want to like I kind of feel like I want to die in class, like I want that sensation. I want to feel like I'm like killing myself a little bit, you know, like I like to be pushed. I like
old self.
yeah, just I want to come out reborn, you know
That's
what I mean?
right.
Like that, I
That's
like
right.
that a lot. I like to feel like I'm like kind of dying a little bit, and like
Yeah.
that it's really challenging and like really pushing myself and whatever. But I'm capable of teaching that way,
Yes.
but I never teach that way. I probably would never teach that way.
I don't
'Cause
get
I'm always
too
like,
often, yeah.
whatever you want, whatever you know, like,
whatever you like.
yeah, like just do
Listen
it.
to your body, follow your heart.
yeah. Lots of props. Like it's okay if you need to leave the room.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. Like I'm just like so like just easy, delicate. Listen to yourself, understand yourself, whatever, blah blah blah. But my personal practice is so different.
Oh, absolutely.
Than like how I teach and whatever. And I actually think that you may be a little bit similar in that. I haven't taken one of your classes before, but I was curious to know if you're like that, you know. And like one time my mom said to me, she was like, are the people like, are they impressed with what like you can do? And I was like,
who cares?
I was like, well, they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. Like I literally was teaching, like it was a lot of older women. The demographic I was teaching, like the place I was at was like, like 50, 60-year-old women. So like really gentle. I'm not like doing like, I'm not doing like whatever the fuck crow pose. Like I don't know. Like I'm not doing that shit. You know? So she's like, are they impressed with what you can do? And I was like, they don't even fucking know what I can do. Because I'm not like in front of a room being like, be a gentle child's pose. Look at this.
Check it.
yeah, but while you're down there, just peek up. I'm gonna show you something real cool.
check it out.
You know? And so it's the same thing. It's like the way like we express ourselves might be different than obviously what we want.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like, damn, there's definitely been classes, and there will always be classes where I'm teaching like a nice, gentle, flow, stretchy class, and I'm like, I just want to hop up into like some inversions and do some like crazy shit, but I'm not about to.
You're not about to, no.
Because it's just like, it doesn't fit, man. It's like, it's like bringing ribs to a tea party.
Right. I didn't expect all this sauce, you know? Like,
Yeah,
what
no,
the
I
hell?
don't want the sauce. It's looking for crumpets.
Well, those are perfect for sopping up the sauce, though.
I mean, ooh, damn. I am a fan of like the sweet and savory.
Yeah, you gotta
action,
get
too.
it. Yeah, you
Shit,
gotta get it, you
should
know.
we have like a BBQ tea party?
I got a barbecue outside.
Let's go.
Little yoga party.
Yeah, this is over.
Yeah, right. That's yeah. Sorry, guys, can't come. You know, but yeah, I totally agree. Like with all of these things, you know, and like I don't know. What do you teach right now? What are you teaching?
Currently, I am just taking my last couple of weeks off before I'm off to Costa Rica. To
You're going back
teach.
again? Yeah,
That's right.
right,
Yeah,
right,
I'm going
right.
back to assist another training there.
Right.
And
When you teach, do you teach like Ashtanga? Like do you do like the sequence, or do you do? Are you more like vinyasa, a little bit more like?
so
Random, you know, because like whenever I go to Ashtanga, I'm like, okay, Sansal A, Sansal B, always this way, you know what I mean?
Right,
It's following
yeah.
the sequence, you know?
So basically, because I'm not an authorized Ashtanga
Like
yoga
Ashtanga
teacher,
teacher, right, right.
yet.
Right.
That is the big plan.
Yeah, of
That
course.
is the absolute dream, and it is the absolute goal.
Right.
But for the moment, since I'm not authorized, I don't feel fully comfortable saying like, oh, I'm going to teach you Ashtanga.
Right.
I can say that comfortably
Right.
that I
Right.
am happy teaching Ashtanga flow.
Right.
So, you know, it'll be Ashtanga inspired. We'll do like maybe a half primary or
Yeah,
something like
right,
that.
okay.
So
Right.
I offer a lot of like all levels, modified, available to everyone, Ashtanga style classes. As well as just ye old regular like power vinyasa or
Yeah.
just vinyasa classes.
Right.
I absolutely enjoy teaching gentle stretch, and like
Yes.
one of my favorite is some of my favorite classes, I guess, are either advanced asana and getting people into those poses and
Yes.
watching them succeed. Oh,
Yeah, I know,
it
it's
is
so fucking
a tasty,
cool. I
tasty
know.
feel.
Right.
Or brand new beginners who are extremely curious and
Yes.
extremely shy.
Yes.
I love the sensation of giving somebody just enough yoga to kind of be like, how's that for flavor? And they're like, that's not bad. You're like, oh shit, would you like to come back for more? And they're like, you know what? I think I
would like to, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so
much. And then, like, after something like that, it doesn't even matter if they come back to you.
It's so true.
Just the fact that they come back to yoga is super fun.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, that's something that happens too, because they talked a lot about, like, not taking things, like, personally in yoga with your students and, like, them not showing back up or whatever. And I'm like, I'm cool with that, you know? But, like, that is an aspect or whatever of, like, you're like, okay, but, like, yes, they found the teaching.
Yeah.
They may just go ahead.
Yeah, for at least a moment. But otherwise, I am working on launching a little program that I'll just be calling Asana Fit.
Right, beautiful.
And so basically it's what it sounds like.
Right.
It'll be a little bit of more of a fitness vibe to drill to train strength for certain asana, intermediate to advanced asana. So if the interest is to be able to advance the physical practice, then you're able to take this class in order to support yourself through strength, through building some flexibility, like just your static flexibility and your not so static flexibility. There's some things that we don't consider that are very helpful to our asana practice that feel or look maybe nothing like yoga, but at the end of the day, it helps your yoga be more beneficial to you.
Right, okay.
So that's something I'm deeply interested in doing. It's something that I've been doing for myself for a long time, is combining kind of a little bit of fitness and the asana and the drilling and the chilling.
Right.
So
Yeah, I see the drills. I see the drills all the time on your Instagram stories and stuff like that.
Yes, they are. They're making their way back.
Right.
Had to chill on the drills for a while
right.
But 'twas fruitful, and now we're coming back.
Yeah, baby.
But yeah, so it's something that I'm really excited to offer, and I'm going to be guinea pigging it on a couple of people. So if anybody wants to be a guinea pig,
I'd be curious to try.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'd be interested to see how that kind of goes. Obviously, like, it's different dedication.
So that'll be my first kind of foray into a class that I've designed on my own, and I'm really deeply looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a nice little addition to those. Again, to whom the physical, like, shape that you make is important, because it doesn't have to be important.
No.
It can be the least important thing.
Right, that's true. You know, and I always say to students, I'm like, well, you know, like, it doesn't have to look like the fucking book. You know what I mean? Like, what book? Who cares about the book?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, we can care. We can have, I have personal respect for it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to give you a hard time if you don't look like the book. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
Like the amount of times that I say, who cares?
Who cares? I know. Yeah, me too,
like,
actually.
Sometimes I actually stop myself and I'm like, oh, whoops, like, should I actually, like, not say that as much? Because it's like,
sometimes you feel disrespectful.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, so your whatever asana might look like this. Who cares? Like, or I'll say something dumb like, who cares? I don't. You shouldn't either.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because at the end of the day, like, I mean it. I genuinely don't give a shit.
No, me neither.
Are you happy in that shape?
That's it.
Are you pain-free?
Well, that's it. Like, what's the feeling? What's the sensation? Are you connecting with your body? Is your body telling you to get out, and are you actually listening to that? Because, like, that's all I really give a shit about.
Yeah, are you just screaming on the inside the whole time, or are you actually feeling something?
Right.
Because if you're just screaming on the inside... maybe it ain't it.
Right. Yeah, it is so true, actually, you know, and like that, having that connection to your body and like knowing the difference. And like, I feel like I'm saying that all the time in class. I just am like, do whatever you want, come out of it, take another option, like whatever 100%. It is, you know, like I don't feel like it has to be like super serious. And I think that that's where like 26 and 2 is like, I really actually, I liked the practice when I did it for a little bit of time, because I liked how I could watch my progress.
Yeah.
And I liked the dying aspect.
Yeah.
Like that, for me, that was good, you know? But I could very quickly understand the pros and cons, obviously. And I was like, well, like, obviously the cons here are that, like I have scoliosis. So I was like, okay, my spine, like, does not want to go this far back. But all the teacher is saying is go, and you're like, fuck. And you come out of there, you come out of there hurt.
Yes.
You know, and like I think it's hard for people because they're already scared to come to their first yoga class, and if that was your first experience,
bruh,
Christ,
I'd lose my mind. I would have never. Okay, this is gonna sound.
Yeah, no,
we've already talked about this.
Yeah.
But I'm just like not the biggest fan of the practice of Bikram.
Yep.
And if that had been the first practice that I had been introduced to, I don't think I would have set foot into yoga again.
No, fuck that. No, I know. That's what I'm saying. If that was my first ever class, like at least I was already like, you know, probably 5-6 years into practice.
Right.
When I like took my first one.
Yeah, I took my first one probably like a year. No, I would have been 18. So yeah, 2 years, 3.
Okay, so yeah, so you had some like
years
some
into
understanding.
like my little baby practice.
Right.
So yeah, I had a general idea that yoga isn't supposed to hurt.
Right. I know.
Like this.
I know.
And then I went to the classes, and you're right though. I started seeing the progress extremely quickly, and I was like, oh, cool. Okay,
right.
like that's really cool. I like that a lot. But then every time they told me to lock my knee, I was like, this shit hurts.
Well,
I don't think this should hurt.
Yeah, right.
And then every
some
time
people can lock their knee.
Yes,
and some people
safely.
cannot lock
And
their knee.
and other people cannot safely lock their knee. I am
know?
one of those humans who cannot safely lock the knee. It
Right.
feels fucked up.
No, exactly. You know, and like skeletal variation. You know,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Everybody's just so different. You know?
Yes,
Right.
and
right.
like my back was extremely not bendy back then.
Right,
Like,
right.
oh my god, it's taken me years to
To, like,
gain
get
the
that.
depth that I have right now, and
Yeah.
it's not even like that impressive.
Right,
Anyway,
right.
but like, and I went to those classes. I got myself like, you know, the unlimited week. I went for the week. I was like, I chill, and then I got myself a 20 class card, and I'm pretty sure I still have like half of it laying around somewhere because
right.
I went and then I stalled because I was like, I simply cannot get myself into the headspace and like the intensity with which they prepared you for it, like nothing to eat 4 hours before, make sure you're doing this, that,
No water.
wear
during the
this,
class,
don't wear
can't
green.
leave. Like what the? I know.
Yeah.
What's with that?
I actually
know?
found out, apparently, the guy's friend was in an accident and he was wearing green, so now he disallows green in his classes.
Okay,
And I was like, okay,
It's
neat.
just, like, so fucked, honestly. Like,
It's
not right.
a lot of really weird shit.
It is a lot of weird shit.
It was like the day that I watched a woman be carried out basically by her 2 friends, shaking and crying after class, after being forced to stay in the studio once she went down.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I saw her go down. I saw her like shaking and sitting there and crying.
It's fucked.
It was like halfway through the class, so she had to sit there for half
In
of
this
the class.
heat, yeah.
And she was obviously maybe too weak to leave, obviously too embarrassed to leave.
Severely dehydrated.
Severely
She's, like,
dehydrated,
shaking.
absolutely fucked. And
Right.
so yeah, she was just dragged out of there, and I sat there and I watched this, and I was like, no, I can't be part of this abuse. This is abuse of humans.
Yes,
this is
it
not
is.
okay.
Right.
And sure, maybe if she had had the balls, like she
Just,
had every
like,
right to get up and go.
Yeah, right.
But you are
But you're scared.
You're scared. You're terrified. You've been
You're not
yelled
in a
at.
position of power.
Yeah, you're
already.
yelled at for 90 minutes
Yes,
straight.
right,
And so for a lot of people, I feel like maybe they are there to maybe surrender that like power to be guided by somebody, to put their trust in life into somebody's hands for that hour so that they can just relax their anus otherwise. But no,
you know, but I had said somebody told me once that it was a lot of type A people that are at Bikram yoga.
I'd say so.
You know, and I'm like, well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, because they're like literally being like, you know, it's kind of like being like submissive, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, like allowing yourself to surrender, fucking self-surrender. You know, like just like having that, and someone like having power over you and shit like that, and and like being okay with all of those things and whatever. You know, like. Yeah, I don't know. I like obviously don't agree with like people being in the room when they're like literally almost fucking dying. Like it's just so unsafe.
Absolutely. It just doesn't feel normal. It felt extremely unhealthy, and it felt like any other sport to me all of a sudden because of the fact that people were allowed to get to that state.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, I've seen this in other sports. I've seen this happen in other practices. I've never seen this happen in yoga.
No.
I've never seen somebody go the fuck down in yoga.
Yeah,
like, come
so
on.
True, actually. Yeah, because there's been times, obviously, that I like literally like think I'm gonna fucking faint.
Yes.
You know, which is
and like you can't take a knee because then it's just like get up.
Well, then they yell it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this shit? Like you know,
there
like,
was one point in time I attended a 26-2 class like years and years later because I was like, okay, maybe I was just being a little bitch.
Yeah, right.
You know,
right.
and so I went back in.
You never know. Like you know, like some days are different.
Yeah, and the teacher was straight up like. Straighten your knee more, and I think we were just like on the. There was some pose where you're like on the floor. No, you're like seated on the floor, or maybe No, anyway, it doesn't matter.
Okay, right.
Like, legs are straight, something's happening. I don't remember. But it's a pose where the legs are straight, and she could see that I had a space between
you're probably
the
doing
pit
like this.
of
you're
my
probably in
knee.
this, whatever, you know, the forward fold, maybe, you know, and you weren't, like, locked.
Yeah, and so she could see the space in between the pit of my knee.
Which is just your anatomy.
It's just my anatomy. It be how my bones be, baby. And she's like, flatten that. And I was like,
how?
Pardon?
Yeah.
How in the frick frack paddywhack do you expect me to bust my knee backwards to touch the floor? Pardon? That was the first time I have ever sassed a teacher in class.
Well, yeah.
Like, and I just went, it's almost like my body is built that way.
I'm built this way.
And I didn't feel deeply disrespectful. I was just like, that's embarrassing. I shouldn't have spoken up, but like, fuck off.
Honestly, I think it's a great thing that you said that, because I think that's like severely missing from those from that practice is like skeletal variation.
Yes.
And then everybody's just different.
Variation.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Yeah, it's so funny.
It's just like, oh, you breathe oxygen, you should be able to bust into this pose. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's interesting, you know, like I have slight respect just for like the sequence. I actually took a lot of the sequence with me, shockingly enough. I like took a lot of the sequence with me. I don't like really respect how it like, I don't really know how much of the documentary that they made is like true. Like obviously there's lots of truth, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But like, you know, they're saying, oh, he just took the sequence from his teacher. I'm like, well, yeah, of course, but like, in a way to me, I'm like, well, of course he took the sequence from his teacher. And
so did everybody else.
So did we. Yeah, exactly. Some of the cues I use and like the way things are done. Like a lot of my I use those from my teacher. They taught me. Like, so that's where I feel like people like have some slight misconception. I'm like, well, of course you're dedicated to your teacher.
Yeah,
and your teacher taught you this way, so you're going to take their sequence, which is just like, it's very like, you know, it's very Ashtanga, like kind of, I guess, rooted. It's the same thing every kind of time for the most part, you know? And so I'm like, I don't feel like that's like weird or abnormal, obviously, you know? But like the poses in and of themselves, I don't think the sequence is amazing. I don't think it flows like beautifully, you know? But I like some of the shapes. Like they taught me a lot about myself. Totally. And they taught me a lot about, like, the shapes in and of themselves, you know? So I'm like, I still drop into a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know?
It did teach me that, like, I am a lot more resilient than I thought I was.
Yes,
because I could not handle heat whatsoever back then. And, you know, after my basically 1 month of trying to, like, flop fish through it all, well, no, I did fine. But, like, flop fish mentally through it, I think.
Right.
I came out, you know, with the realization that, like, okay, yeah, no, I can actually put up with a lot more physical strain than I've been doing.
Yep.
So,
yeah, that's true,
like,
actually.
that's cool, but I would like to direct that in a much healthier way. I'd like to direct it into asana I'm very interested in working on, as opposed to asana that are like this. And that's why I gravitated toward Ashtanga over and over and over and over again, because there is that rigidity. You can make the practice as rigid or as
That's it.
Whatever you
soft
need it to
as
be,
you want it to
as
be.
you need.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. And there's that availability, and it's built in such a way that, like, you know, you practice Mysore style. Your teacher is beside you. They're whispering into your ear exactly what to do with your particular body. It's not a room full of people that they're instructing to, and then they're like, also, George, go ahead and, like, don't bust your knee on this one, buddy. I know that the meniscus is really fucked. Like, you know, you're coming over to George and you're being like, how's that meniscus, buddy? Like, you're whispering sweetly into his ear, and you're just like,
no, it's been a hard time for you lately.
Take my chest and a D, super easy, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know, and you can do, and you're allowed to do, and you're allowed to come in, and you're allowed to do, you know, your 5 Sun A, your 5 or 3 Sun B, and then you're allowed to fucking sit down on the floor and just breathe, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's still your practice.
Fucking choice.
Exactly.
You know, like,
whereas, with Bikram, I'd come in, and you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly where it's going, and you know exactly how you're going to feel afterwards.
I agree,
while for some people that works, for me it is absolutely not the
way. Not the way. The one beauty of it that I do think is really nice, but I think you can obviously find this if you're sticking with like your sequence in Ashtanga or whatever. I like that. One student told me once, they were like, what I like is that I'm like I can easily fall into meditation, whatever, in Bikram, because I just know what's coming, and like I don't, because like obviously like if I'm teaching my vinyasa vinyasa class, it's different every time, you know what
Of
I mean?
course,
I don't
yeah.
teach the same sequence every time and whatever, you know? And so, like, in that way, I think that there's a lot of perk, you know, where you're like, okay, well then they know what to expect. They can allow themselves to let go during that time and just be and do and be told what to do. And, like, that's a really nice thing in and of itself, obviously. You
Totally.
know? Right? Yeah. Okay, so you're going to make this platform and thing, this
asana fit
program. Yeah, okay.
Yes,
right.
so I oh my god.
Yeah, right, okay.
It's right at the moment I'm mostly going to be doing it online for like
That's cool.
until the new year. This
Right.
is when I'm back in Canada, and
well, you're gone for a while. Well,
no.
I guess it's almost
I'm back
November.
like right in between Christmas and New Year's, so
Christmas.
Merry Chrysler. Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Oh god, I'm so glad.
Yeah, right? Anyways, okay, so you're coming back.
Yes.
Okay, so
and
awesome
then after
fit.
that, I'm hoping to, lock down a space where I'll be able to offer some more regular in-person classes.
Love it.
Just
Okay.
because,
Beautiful. It's fun. I love it. I don't want to not have the in-person for myself as well.
No,
you know?
100%.
Right.
And I would like to do a little bit of studio teaching here and there.
Right,
But
okay.
I'm highly interested in kind of like
Doing
branching
your
out on my
thing or
own.
whatever. Yeah, that's the most,
I think it's time.
the
I think
best.
it's time.
Oh, yeah, do it. Just do
Yeah.
it. It's the most fulfilling
Yeah.
thing I've ever done in my life. You know?
Yeah,
like, right?
sounds tasty, girl.
It's not bad, you know? Yeah. It just needs a little bit more salt, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a decent flavor.
It's a decent flavor.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
the ribs.
Good umami.
Right, okay, and then I'm gonna share your Instagram because I feel like everybody needs to see your beautiful dedication and
Oh
your
my
work
God,
to your asana
stop
practice. I think it's
it.
wonderful. Do you want to share anything about the Costa Rica space as well? Like, do you want to share
Yeah.
something, because just in case people are interested in that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the place that I work at, the mystical place in Costa Rica, is called Vida Asana
Yep.
School of Yoga. It is located in Hermosa, Playa Hermosa, which is right by Jaco. If you look up Jaco,
Yeah.
Jaco
Yeah.
is like the city, and then right beside it is a little tiny town called Playa Hermosa, and that's where we're at. And we are deep in the jungle.
Beautiful beach.
That's right, beautiful
very
beach.
good. Beautiful beach.
Yes.
Yes.
We are deep in the jungle right by the beautiful beach, which you
It
can
does
get
look
to very
wonderful.
quickly. And
Right.
we do offer a really wonderful YTT. There's 3 of them that currently run per year. I think there might be plans for a 4th one, but
Okay.
hey, if you ever wanted to watch me be an idiot and tell dad jokes in Costa Rica, please join us one day.
Instead of watching them here.
Instead of
you know?
watching them here
Yeah,
in
you could be at
Canada, you
beautiful
could be in
beach.
Costa Rica.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, teacher training is something that you do because you want to teach. No, you don't have to do that. You can teacher train, whether you want to just deepen your
Right.
practice or just start your practice. However, it's also a really great space to just like go and do like a reset week where you can just come in and then all your yoga is included. You get to practice, you get to eat
beautiful
delicious
thing.
food,
Yeah.
you get to be in a place where people just genuinely really, really care about you. Like we
Yeah.
love the humans who come there so deeply, and like everyone that I've met has just been like this. I love them. I love
I know.
Yeah.
I can
I
tell
love-
actually from your shares. I'm like, no, she fucking loves this space and like feels connected to it and feels like
Absolutely.
you belong and whatever, you know.
Yeah,
Like, you
no,
can tell.
I love Vida.
Yeah, okay, beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna share
A lot.
that. I'm gonna share that as well, just in case you never know. People want teacher training, and it looks like a very. I would actually like to attend. Like I would go to it for sure.
Absolutely,
You know? Like, it
and
seems lovely.
I would like to run some workshops there and stuff and
Yeah,
trainings
yeah,
in
yeah.
the future.
Possibilities
so
are endless.
look out for ya
Okay.
girl
Ya girl.
running something soon. Soon.
Coming to a studio
Yeah,
near you.
let's go to Costa Rica together. We can take a plane together, eat little snacks, do a layover.
Little snacks. Wow. Okay, beautiful. All right, wonderful.
Yes.
This is so good. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Whitney.
This is a
My
beautiful conversation.
God.
So
Oh,
nice.
well,
Oh.
this has been just such a delight. I am absolutely honored that you would wish for me to ramble in your general direction. That is mighty kind.
Oh, you can fucking ramble in my direction anytime.
Right back at you.
Okay, thank you so much.